you for Dogs on Demand on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah, we haven't been live now for quite a while here on Dogs on Demand with any kind of live broadcast. And no, it has nothing to do with being sick or an illness or anything like that. It's just been a change in circumstances in a good way. And we'll tell you more about that later. But I'm getting knee deep. I'm getting knee deep in media kingdoms these days, and we'll have more news about that in the days to come. But it's good to be with you on this Thursday night. It is Thursday, right? You know, the days are running together with when you're so busy. You know, you have to think about, well, what is today? But today is Thursday. And we thought we would just jump in here on a Thursday evening just to kind of refresh ourselves a little bit with what we're doing with our Dogs on Demand audience and some of the things we're doing. And also to talk a little bit about the University of Georgia football team and what's happening with the football team, kind of exciting stuff happening in these last few days as far as recruiting is concerned. And take a look over the summer. We enter into the long, hot summer, of course, and there'll be some summer workouts for the University of Georgia guys. And they'll be getting themselves together and getting ready for fall practice, and of course, the beginning of the season for this coming football season. So the summertime. It is very busy for football players. They do a lot of workouts and they kind of get together and the position groups get together and figure out some things and work on some things. And that's happening across the country. And it's certainly happening with the University of Georgia. If you'd like to jump in here with a question or a comment or a hello or how you doing, we would love for you to do that. And we'll just talk about a little bit about some stuff going on with the University of Georgia on this Thursday. Now, if unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, yeah, you know that the University of Georgia has signed the number one player, the top ranked player for the 2024 recruiting class. Hey, Randy Payne, how you doing, my man? Indeed, good to have you with us tonight. Dylan Raioli. Now, actually, I did a little research to make sure I pronounced his name correctly. Dylan Raioli. It's Italian, apparently. And so, you might have to put a little Italian on it, I don't know what that was, but Dylan Raioli, the top ranked quarterback in the 2024 class, top ranked player in the 2024 class, of course, famously now, you very well know, as committed to the University of Georgia. Raioli is 6'3", 220-pound quarterback. He has starred at Pinnacle High School in Phoenix, Arizona, and he looks forward to his upcoming senior season at Pinnacle High School. He chose the University of Georgia to play college football. He chose Georgia over USC, Nebraska, and of course every other almost college team in the country offered Raioli. He's been compared to Patrick Holmes. They say, well, he's a mini Patrick Holmes, or he's a potential Patrick Holmes. If that's true, certainly that bodes well for the University of Georgia. We have watched some tape of Dylan Raioli. He's a pretty impressive guy, and it looks like perhaps, and you never know until it happens, but it looks like perhaps he could be a generational talent. And he's coming to the University of Georgia. So Dylan Raioli, you've heard all about that. He had an uncle, or has an uncle, that's been on the staff of the University of Nebraska. And it was felt like maybe Raioli would go to the University of Nebraska, but ultimately he picked Georgia. He just loved Georgia, and Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo, and the staff did a tremendous job in staying with Raioli and, sticking with him and showing him love and concern, that he would be with the University of Georgia. Randy Payne, our good buddy, says he's going to be in Arizona in October. Going to see him play. Okay, well there you go. Well, we'll get Randy on our program to give us a scouting report when it when it comes to October. So the question is now at the University of Georgia. Okay, you have Dylan Raiola coming in. So what about the quarterback situation at the University of Georgia? Well, for this upcoming season, it's pretty well set. It appears as if, and of course, there's been no official announcement, but it pretty well, that Carson Beck is going to be the starting quarterback for Georgia. He had a great G Day game. We were on site for the G Day game. He looked sharp. He's got an arm. I like Carson Beck. I think he's going to do very well this coming season. Um, so Carson Beck most likely is going to be the starting quarterback for Georgia. Of course, again, no official announcement has been made. And you know how coaches do that. They, won't come out and say, that he's the man until it's time for them to say he's the man. But also you have Brock Vandergriff and Gunnar Stockton in the quarterback room. And you have Ryan Puglisi. He's a 4-star quarterback who also has been signed for the 2024 season. He's going to be coming in. So, as far as quarterback position is concerned for the University of Georgia, you can say they are stacked. And you got to wonder, somewhere down the road, one of these guys are going to say, it may be that I'm not going to be able to get on the field for the Bulldogs, and they might go into the transfer portal. That's probably more likely, I would think, and I have no inside information about this whatsoever. But it probably is more likely for Brock Vandergriff to do that rather than Gunnar Stockton. But maybe you just don't know. It's going to be interesting how this plays out. But Dylan Raiola now is a Georgia Bulldog. And it's kind of interesting. You would think, and excuse me, as I try to get a hold of something here, you would think that with the addition of Dylan Raiola to the recruiting class for 2024, that Georgia would have the number 1 recruiting class, according to the recruiting services. But that is not the case. 247 Sports, and I'm trying to find it here, 247 Sports in their composite team rankings for the 2024 recruiting classes has Michigan as having at this present moment, the number 1 recruiting class for 2024. So apparently Michigan's kind of stocked up mostly on the defensive side of the ball, apparently. But Michigan so far is having a very excellent recruiting time for the 2024 season, followed by Georgia, Ohio State. Now, this is 247 Sports. This is their composite team rankings for the 2024 recruiting cycle. You have Michigan, then Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, LSU, Penn State, Oregon, Florida State, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Right now, those are the top 10 teams in the 2024 recruiting cycle. And of course, you're going to have Alabama's going to be up in there, and they're going to be in that top 10 eventually. And so things will change quite a bit. But right now, Georgia has the number 2 recruiting class. And if the dominoes fall, after the signing of or the commitment of Dylan Raiola to the University of Georgia, there's been a lot of speculation that other players, especially wide receivers, offensive players, will want to play with Dylan. And they may be recruited currently at other places, and they may change their mind and come with Raiola to the University of Georgia. You kind of wonder about the effect of the Raiola effect on the recruiting for the University of Georgia for 2024. We'll have to wait and see. But good news out of the University of Georgia. By the way, did you know that the University of Georgia is back-to-back national champions? It's been a while since I've been on our program to be able to say that. By the way, we haven't been on hiatus. We've had a change in in what we're doing as a living, and it's been pretty intense. But yeah, we're here for the University of Georgia, and I will give you news on all of that other stuff later. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Sometimes when somebody's kind of goes off the scene, and you wonder a little bit, where did they go? You might be thinking, well, something bad's going on. No, something's good going on. Let's see. As far as recruiting is concerned, IMG Academy running back Jarek Gibson. He's 20 for the 2024 class. IMG Academy, that's down in Florida. He has named Georgia in his top 5 for consideration of where he'll be playing college football. Florida, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Miami. Apparently, Jarek Gibson is a very, very good running back, 5-star running back. He had some good things to say about the University of Georgia. However, it is felt like by most of the recruiting services that he will be leaning more toward Florida. He's from Florida, has a connection with the University of Florida, has been a Gator fan, bless his heart, for most of his life. And so, Florida probably has they're probably out front for a commitment from Jarek Gibson, but Gibson has named Florida, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Miami as his top 5. So Georgia is in the running for that. And Georgia also, all these guys, recruiting never stops at the University of Georgia. It never stops. And if you can't recruit, you're not going to be on Kirby Smart's staff. That's just the way it is. And it never ends. We've had guys tell us that Kirby Smart will call his staff like at 3:00 in the morning to check on whether or not contact has been made with a particular recruit. There's the ABCs of college football. Our friend Marvin James from Channel 13 in Macon, he told me there's the ABCs of college football. Always be recruiting. So Kirby Smart is that. So constantly recruiting. So Georgia is in the running for all kind of guys for the 2024 class, and it could turn out to be again a very special class for the University of Georgia. Did you know that Georgia has won back-to-back national championships? I just isn't it amazing? I mean, really. I mean, isn't it amazing? Georgia is back-to-back national champions. Okay. Speaking of that, after winning back-to-back college football playoff national championships, the first program to accomplish that feat in recent years, not the first overall, Georgia is considered the number one team. Well, they are the first team to win the playoff thing. Yeah, that's true. Georgia is considered the number one team in just about every early top 25 rankings published to date. Action Network is a college football, it's a platform, college football platform. It has released its bowl projections and early projected lines for, all college teams and for the University of Georgia. And Action Network has Kirby Smart's 8th team, his 8th season as head coach, his 8th team, returning to the college football playoffs for the 4th time. The outlet predicts that the Bulldogs will make their 7th consecutive New Year's Six Bowl and play Washington. How about that? The Action Network says Georgia will play Washington in the college football playoff semifinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. It lists Georgia as a 6-point neutral site favorite. It has then Georgia playing Michigan in the college football playoff national championship game. Georgia playing in that game, according to the Action Network, for the 3rd time in a row. And the Action Network has Georgia as a 1.5-point favorite to win the title game in Houston to be back-to-back national champions. The Action Network picks the Michigan as a 5.5-point favorite over Florida State. So the Action Network has Georgia Michigan, Washington, and Florida State in the college football playoffs. Huh. So isn't that interesting? The non-college football playoff New Year's Six bowl projections, according to the Action Network, has LSU favored over Penn State in the Peach Bowl, Oregon favored over Tulane in the Fiesta Bowl, Alabama favored over Texas Tech in the Cotton Bowl, and Ohio State favored over Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Of course, we're 8 months away from college football or something like that. So, but it's kind of fun to kind of speculate and that kind of thing. Georgia has picked up a running back in the portal. Lyneth Whitehead is headed back home. He's from Georgia. He signed with Tennessee out of high school. He's had some injury issues, but he's coming back now. He's left Tennessee. He's gone into the portal. He's now coming to Georgia as a walk-on, of course, a preferred walk-on. Lyneth Whitehead, a very good running back, a four-star running back, four-star recruit. Actually, he was, there was kind of speculation he might play linebacker or running back. He played running back at the University of Tennessee. During the 2021 season, he saw some action, 32 carries and 207 yards, 2 touchdowns for Tennessee. He had some injuries last season, unable to play, didn't get in any games last season. But he does have 3 years of eligibility remaining, thanks to the NCAA's COVID year rule. Georgia has seniors Kendall Milton, and Dejon Edwards atop the depth chart of the running backs going into the 2023 season. And it could be the Lyneth Whitehead. He's a talented guy when he's healthy. It could be that somewhere down the road, you're going to see him playing a significant part in the plans for the University of Georgia. Well, congratulations to Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm enrolled in the University of Georgia in the 2017 season. Well, he graduated this spring, just a couple of months ago, or a month ago or so. So congratulations to Jake Fromm getting his diploma from the University of Georgia. Of course, it took him a while. He's been playing in the NFL. He's signed again in the NFL with who? I forget what the team Jake is with. He's, I think, on the practice squad or something like that. But he is preparing for the 2023 season. But Jake Fromm, of course, during his time at the University of Georgia, he led Georgia to an SEC crown, 36 wins over 3 seasons, and almost a national championship, of course. That's the debacle game against Alabama when Georgia fell apart against Alabama. We all remember that, and we have erased that from our memory because Georgia is back-to-back national champions. Have we heard that yet? Have we said that yet? So congratulations to our good buddy Jake Fromm for getting his diploma, graduating from the University of Georgia. He said it was very important to him and his family that he do that. And so, Jake, there you go. Joel Klatt is a college football analyst for Fox Sports. Joel Klatt, he can be a little controversial at times. He comes up with stuff at times that people say, wait a minute, what is he saying? But Joel Klatt pretty much, he's a pretty good guy, pretty knowledgeable guy. Well, he put out his top 25 rankings for the coming college football season. That's what you do in the offseason. You say, well, I got to write something about college football. It's a kind of a lull thing. We got some recruiting going on, and so these guys come up with their way too early top 25 rankings for the upcoming football season. So here's Joel Klatt from Fox Sports. Here's his top 25. Number 1, guess what? He has Georgia at number 1. And here's what he said about Georgia. We won't read what he said about every team, but here's what Joel Klatt said about Georgia. He said they are loaded, back-to-back national championships. You can claim they don't have a quarterback, but I trust Kirby Smart with everything they've done. This is a team that's going to be loaded for the foreseeable future. Stetson Bennett played great. He had great statistics. He gets to New York, but this is not a guy that's going to be overly difficult to replace. I think that they will be able to replace him, and they're going to continue to be a dominant force in college football. That's what Joel Klatt said about Georgia. The others in his top 25 rankings, he has Michigan at number 2, Ohio State at number 3. Then he has Alabama at number 4. And not a lot of love for, well, you rank number 4 in your top 25 rankings. I mean, that's showing love and respect, but the Alabama is usually, you know, they anticipate being either number 1 or number 2. A lot of concern about the University of Alabama and their quarterback situation. They got a guy through the portal from Notre Dame. And so there's a little concern about that. And I was reading an article about Alabama. They called it the Crimson Tide wariness. There's a wariness now around the Crimson Tide program. I don't know what that means, but hey, Alabama's going to be there. And, so Klatt has Alabama at number 4, Penn State at number 5, USC number 6, followed by LSU, FSU, Florida State, Washington, Tennessee, Utah, Oregon, Notre Dame, Clemson, TCU, Oregon State, Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, North Carolina, Iowa, Wisconsin, Texas Tech, and UCLA. That is Joel Klatt's top 25 rankings for the upcoming season. Joel Klatt from Fox Sports college analyst. Now, Stuart Mandel works with the ESPN and some other outlets. He has his top 25 as well, and we'll run over his right quick. I know, but it's what you do at this time of the year is you project and you look forward to. Now, right now, I'm in Braves baseball. What happened to us? Oh, we had connection issues. Are we good now? Okay, we're good now. Technology, sometimes technology will give you a headache. We're good now. What? Okay. Stuart Mandel, as I was saying, Stuart Mandel, he gives his top 25. He works for ESPN and some other places. Here's his way too early top 25 for college football for the coming season. He has Georgia number 1. There you go, Stuart. He says Carson Beck came out of spring as the clear favorite to succeed Stetson Bennett at quarterback. By the way, what do you think? Stetson Bennett went to the Rams. I think I'm not going to count anything out about Stetson Bennett. After watching him and what he did at the University of Georgia, who's going to count him out from doing anything? Anyway, Carson Beck came out of the spring as the clear favorite to succeed Stetson Bennett at quarterback. He in the offense, which brings back star tight end Brock Bowers, plus receiver Ladd McConkey, and added ex-Missouri wide receiver Dominic Levelett, who had 56 catches for 846 yards in 2022, looked lethal. They looked lethal, he says, in the spring game. The defense loses stars like Jalen Carter and Keely Ringo, but will be more experienced as a whole. led by safety Javon Bullard, linebackers Jamon Dumas Johnson, and Smile Munden. Former five-star linebacker Xavier Zori Jr. is poised to break out, according to Stuart Mandel. So in his top 25, he has Georgia, LSU, Michigan, USC, Ohio State, Alabama at number 6, according to Stuart Mandel. Then Washington, Penn State, Florida State, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon State, Kansas State, Oregon, Clemson, TCU, Wisconsin, Texas, Ole Miss, Iowa, North Carolina, Texas Tech, Tulane, and UCLA. So there you go. There's Stuart Mandel's top 25. Now here's the schedule for Georgia for the 2023 regular season. Just take a quick look at it right quick. September 2nd, Georgia will open with UT Martin in Athens. That'll be in Athens. Time to be determined. The following week, they'll take on Ball State. And then on September 16th, Georgia will play South Carolina. That'll be in Athens. And then on September 23rd, Georgia will play UAB, University of Alabama at Birmingham. So those first 4 games. Now, to defend the University of Georgia, Oklahoma was supposed to be in there, with the Ball State game. But the SEC now, Georgia didn't do this. The SEC came and said, no, you can't play Oklahoma because Oklahoma and Texas are coming into the league. And so, they pulled rank and pulled that game. And so Georgia filled that slot with Ball State. Let's see. And then on September 30th, Georgia will travel to Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers. Then October 7th, Georgia will take on Kentucky in Athens. October 14th, they'll take on Vanderbilt in Nashville. Then on, October 28th, Georgia will take on Florida in Jacksonville. And by the way, the Georgia-Florida rivalry game in Jacksonville for 2 years. Well, we'll have to find a new location to play. 2025 and 2026, TIAA Bank Field is undergoing renovations and expansion. So for those 2 years, Georgia, and probably a home-and-home thing with Georgia and Florida. Florida playing at Georgia, Georgia playing at Florida. For those 2 years, who knows, that might lead to getting rid of the Jacksonville thing. However, I was reading how much money is generated out of that game for each of the schools. Pretty significant. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Let's see. November 4th, Georgia will take on Missouri in Athens. And then, November 11th, Georgia will play Ole Miss. And that'll be in Athens. And here we go. November 18th, Georgia will travel to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. Okay. And then Georgia will close the season at Georgia Tech on November 25th. So that's a look at the upcoming season. So as we were saying, apparently Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry says that, there's going to be renovations to TIAA Bank Field. That's where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. And that's where Georgia plays Florida every season in the annual, that game between Georgia and Florida. So there's going to be renovations. So for 25 and 26, the 2025 season and 2026 season, Georgia and Florida is going to have to play somewhere else, and probably on campus is what it's going to be. So there you go. And Jacksonville's got to play somewhere. I mean, the Jaguars are going to have to play somewhere. So they're trying to work out something in Jacksonville, but I don't know if there's another stadium available there. So anyway, they'll work all of that stuff out. Well, listen, that's going to do it for us tonight on a Thursday. Just getting back into the saddle here. Chris Hall on Dawgs on Demand on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and Twitter. Yeah, we're everywhere. And as we say, we'll Hey, we're getting back into the mode here of focusing on the University of Georgia. By the way, the PGA Championship opened today. I didn't see the final scoreboard for today, but there's several former Bulldog golfers who are involved in the PGA Championship. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, guys. Did I tell you that Georgia, the football team, is back-to-back national champions? Did I mention that in the program? I did? Okay. Hey, by the way, we're really happy. We're going to have Josh Brooks, the athletic director for the University of Georgia, on our program coming up. When is it? Next week, I think. We'll have Josh Brooks, and we'll be talking with the head honcho, the athletic director for the University of Georgia, about different things. All right. Chris Hall here with you, and we'll talk to you soon. More about the back-to-back national champions, University of Georgia. Until then,